They thought it was just another dramatic dinner shanba. What really happened behind the cameras changed everything. The yelling. Just the surface. The real shock came when Kimmy pulled out cold, hard receipts exposing private messages, secret recordings, and a side of the story no one saw coming. Cast members were stunned. Producers scrambled. And suddenly, the calm and collected Kimmy wasn't just defending herself, she was flipping the entire narrative. Was this the truth finally coming out? Or a masterclass in reality TV manipulation? Either way, what you're about to hear will make you question everything you thought you knew. It finally boiled over. After months of quiet tension brewing in silent shade, Kimmi Scott and Nell Fletcher clashed in a showdown no one, not even the producers, saw coming. There was yelling, shoving, and explosive secrets flying in every direction, all caught on camera. The fallout, massive. The entire Love and Marriage, Huntsville fanbase is still reeling. And make no mistake, this wasn't some throwaway squabble. This was high-stakes, game-changing drama that's got fans, cast, and even the network scrambling to contain the shockwaves. Kimmi Scott, the one who's usually calm, collected, and the voice of reason, finally lost it. And the target of her eruption. Nell Fletcher. If you've been paying attention, the signs were there. Tense glances, sly remarks, and smiles that never reached the eyes. But what recently unfolded off-camera and leaked online was no simple disagreement. This was a raw clash fueled by betrayal, heavy accusations, and deeply personal truths that caught everyone off guard. In this video, we're unpacking it all. The simmering tension, the buried lies, and the real reason Kimmy snapped. We've also got exclusive behind-the-scenes details you won't hear anywhere else, what the cast is really saying when the cameras stop rolling, and how this blowout could shift the entire future of the show. So don't go anywhere. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why things spiraled, how it reached this breaking point, and why what comes next could shock everyone. Because this isn't just drama, it's a reckoning. Let's get into it. Long before the cameras caught the chaos, cracks had already formed in Kimmy and Nell's friendship. But here's the truth. The tension didn't come out of nowhere. It had been slowly building for months, maybe even years, and the fans paying close attention. They saw it coming. It started with the little things, eye rolls at group events, subtle jabs in confessionals, and tense silences whenever certain topics came up. At first, it seemed like a clash of personalities. Kimmy, always composed and careful with her words, often came across as guarded. Nell, on the other hand, bold, direct, and unafraid to speak her mind, especially when she felt disrespected. One of the first big warning signs came during that heated couples retreat. While everyone else opened up about their communication struggles, Kimmy stayed civil. That didn't sit well with Nell. According to insiders, Nell believed Kimmy was holding back, choosing to play it safe for the cameras while the rest of the group was laying it all out. Then came the rumors. Ah yes. The backstage whispers claims that Kimmy went to producers about Nell's off-camera behavior. Allegedly, she told a few higher-ups that Nell's attitude was hurting the show's energy, calling her aggressive and disloyal. And let's be honest, if that's true, it's exactly the kind of move that would light a fire under Nell. She doesn't take betrayal quietly. Around the same time, fans picked up on Kimmy slowly distancing herself. She skipped brunches, skipped after parties, and stayed silent on social media. No likes, no comments, nothing. And for a cast that thrives on Instagram engagement, that kind of silence said everything. But the clearest sign came when Nell, during a panel interview, admitted she felt certain women on the show didn't want to see others succeed. She didn't drop names, but fans didn't need her to. Most assumed the shade was aimed directly at Kimmy. So yeah, the tension wasn't just fair, it was simmering. And it was only a matter of time before it erupted into something bigger. Now that we've broken down the slow burn between Kimmy and Nell, let's get into the exact moment that made everything snap. The trigger that took a quiet feud and turned it into a full-blown no-going-back kind of explosion. And it all happened during filming for what was supposed to be a healing-themed group dinner. Yep, a dinner meant to heal old wounds ended up ripping everything wide open. According to insiders, the conversation turned ironically to loyalty and betrayal among friends. That's when the energy shifted. One cast member name withheld for now, but trust. They were stirring the pot, looked straight at Kimmy, and asked why she'd been keeping her distance from Nell. Kimmy, keeping it composed, replied with something like, "I just felt we weren't aligned anymore, that's all." But Nell wasn't having it. She cut in loud and clear and laid it all out for the table. In front of the entire cast, She accused Kimmy of trash-talking her to producers, trying to sabotage her scenes, and worst of all, pretending to be a friend while secretly throwing her under the bus. Let's just say it got ugly. Kimmy flat out denied everything, accusing Nell of fabricating drama for screen time. But Nell came prepared. She didn't just talk, she allegedly brought receipts, text messages, and voice notes she claimed backed her up. That's when the atmosphere snapped. Kimmy stood up. Nell stood up. Words like phony, opportunist, and even snake flew across the table. Security started inching closer because everyone could feel it. This wasn't just reality TV tension anymore. It was raw, real emotion, years of silence, resentment, and bottled up anger finally spilling out. And while it never got physical, those who saw the livestream or were in the room say Kimmy's expression turned to stone. At one point, Kimmy looked Nell dead in the eye and said, "You've always been jealous of how I carry myself. That's the truth. And you hate that I don't need to scream to earn respect." The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Then Kimmy got up and walked out, leaving the entire table in shock. Producers scrambled to defuse the situation, but the damage was already done. The drama had spilled far beyond the set, and within hours, it was everywhere online. The second that dinner footage hit the internet, it was like striking a match in a room full of gas. Social media exploded. Love and marriage. Huntsville fans were stunned. And within minutes, hashtags like hashtag #KIMMY_Snell, hashtag LAMH, and hashtag #KIMMY snaps back were trending across X, TikTok, and Instagram. Right away, the fandom split. Some stood firmly with Kimmy, praising her for keeping her cool and refusing to stoop to the chaos. Others backed Nell, claiming she finally called out the quiet manipulator they always suspected Kimmy to be. One fan tweeted, "Kimmy acts like she's above it all, but she's been shady behind the scenes. Nell just said what everyone else was thinking. Period." But another clapped back. "Nell's been jealous since day one. Kimmy handled that with grace. I would have walked out to total ambush." Team Kimmy. Even influencers jumped in, digging up old footage clips of Kimmy side-eyeing Nell, cutting her off mid-sentence, or giving those half-hearted compliments. That didn't feel so friendly in hindsight. TikTok content creators quickly jumped in, stitching together old clips with captions like, "The signs were always there." Over on YouTube and gossip blogs, it was a frenzy within 24 hours. More than 50 videos surfaced, dissecting the confrontation, spilling alleged behind-the-scenes tea, and speculating about what this could mean for Kimmy's place on the show. Even major LAMH fan pages weighed in, with some suggesting producers might pivot the next season's storyline to spotlight the feud, thanks to all the buzz it's generating. And it didn't end there. Cast members began posting cryptic messages. Morris, Kimmy's husband, shared a now-deleted Instagram story that read, "When you finally see people for who they are, act accordingly." Fans immediately saw Morris's post as a clear show of support for Kimmy, while Nell's followers brushed it off as nothing more than strategic damage control. Meanwhile, Nell made her own statement, dropping a lengthy caption beneath a photo, with a few unnamed female cast members that read, "Some friendships are only real when they're convenient. Keep your head up and your receipts ready." It was obvious this wasn't just reality TV drama. It was personal, and fans could feel it. Many even called it the rawest, most authentic conflict LAMH had delivered in a long time. Rumors started flying that OWN execs were scrambling to re-edit the footage into a two-part reunion special or maybe even launch an entire spin-off, centered on the fallout between these two powerhouse women. The bottom line, Kimmy and Nell didn't just stir up drama, they shifted the entire energy of the franchise and the internet. They devoured it like Sunday dinner. But now it's time to unpack the aftershock of that dinner table meltdown, because what happened next may have permanently reshaped the love and marriage Huntsville landscape. That one explosive moment didn't stay at the table. It set off a chain reaction, shifting brand images, changing public perception, and sparking real conversations behind the scenes about who's rising and who's on their way out. Let's start with Kimmy. For years, she's been viewed as the steady voice of reason, the one who stayed out of the chaos but still kept it 100. But after Nell's explosive accusations, fans started looking at Kimmy differently, and not everyone liked what they saw. Blogs began resurfacing old clips where Kimmy downplayed real issues or avoided holding Maurice accountable for questionable behavior. Critics labeled her the queen of passive aggression, claiming she hid behind her polished image while quietly taking jabs at other cast members, especially women like Letitia and Destiny. Even longtime supporters began to wonder if the whole "I'm above the drama" vibe was just a cover one that kept her from being called out. Until Nell finally did, and perhaps the most telling sign, her brand momentum started to slow. One skincare company reportedly put a campaign on hold after the episode aired, though Kimmy hasn't confirmed that herself. Insiders say the skincare brand wanted to wait until things cool down. Not exactly a good sign. Meanwhile, Nell's brand, it took off. The moment she walked out of that dinner chin high, confidence untouched, she became a fan favorite. No tears, no hesitation. She exposed, delivered, and exited, and the audience ate it up. Practically overnight, her Instagram following shot up by 30,000. She reportedly locked in 2 new deals, one with a fashion brand, and another with a podcast platform rumored to be giving her a limited drama-style podcast called Behind the Smile. Fans are already buzzing, expecting her to spill even more tea about Kimmy, her marriage, and the rest of the LAMH cast. Even Carlos King, executive producer of LAMH, stirred the pot with a shady tweet that many saw as a nod to the dinner fallout. He wrote, "Some cast members just get it. It's about being real, not rehearsed." LAMH. That single line set off another wave of debate. Was he calling out Kimmy for being too polished or applauding Nell for shaking things up? But the real turning point came with a viral fan poll that spread across YouTube and X. Over 70% of viewers said Nell came across as more authentic and trustworthy than Kimmy after that explosive scene aired. Ouch. To make things worse, rumors started swirling that Kimmy might be stepping into a smaller role next season or even exiting entirely if she can't repair her image. Meanwhile, Nell, she's reportedly in talks for a main cast spots, something she's been eyeing for a while. While Kimmy was left picking up the pieces of her image and fending off the growing narrative that she'd been fake all along, Nell was rising fast, stepping into her own spotlight with brand deals, surging follower counts, and a growing army of supporters. The fallout wasn't just emotional, it was strategic, professional, and absolutely brutal. But now, stepping back from the whirlwind, there's one question circulating all over social media. Was this entire moment orchestrated by producers at OWN? Because let's be honest, the timing, the camera angles, the tension, the reactions, it all felt just a little too perfect. Almost like it was engineered to explode on cue. And in the world of reality TV, especially on Love and Marriage, Huntsville, very little is ever truly spontaneous. So now, we have to ask, was it real, or just really well produced? First of all, the setup was cinematic. That dinner scene felt straight out of a scripted reality soap. Every cast member was perfectly positioned. Kimmy seated directly across from Nell, tension thick before the food even arrived. Multiple cameras were already rolling when Nell started speaking, and dessert hadn't even hit the table. Now, anyone familiar with reality TV knows that moments like these don't just happen by coincidence. You don't get peak drama, full cast presence, and crystal clear audio without some serious planning. And according to sources close to production, producers knew Nell was coming in hot. In fact, they allegedly encouraged her to speak her truth during the dinner, even though she'd already brought up her concerns to Kimmy in private weeks earlier. According to a behind-the-scenes assistant who spoke anonymously to a YouTube gossip blogger, Nell didn't originally plan to confront Kimmy in public, but producers allegedly pushed her, saying, "This is your moment. Say it now, or the show will move on without it." They knew it would make for unforgettable TV. Second, while most of the cast appeared genuinely blindsided by the confrontation, one reaction stood out, and not in a good way. Fans quickly noticed that Scott, Kimmy's husband, didn't flinch. No outrage, no shock, not even a hint of defense while his wife was being dragged on camera. Instead, he looked like he'd seen it coming. That has viewers asking some serious questions. Was Morris in on it? Did he know production planned this moment? And worse, was this his way of shifting heat off himself and letting Kimmy take the fall? If so, it wouldn't be the first time OWN producers were accused of using cast members as pawns in a larger game. Just ask Melody Holt or Martell. Both have publicly accused producers of manipulating timelines and editing conversations to amplify drama for ratings. And third, the numbers speak for themselves. Let's talk ratings, because drama sells, and OWN knows it. The episode featuring Nell's explosive showdown with Kimmy pulled in the highest viewership of the entire season. Within 48 hours, the scene was trending on X, formerly Twitter, and blowing up across YouTube reaction channels. OWN execs were reportedly thrilled with the spike and are now hinting at a behind-the-blow style reunion special. with Nell, Kimmy and Maurice all back together, face to face. So it's hard not to wonder, did they just capture lightning in a bottle? Or was this moment carefully crafted behind the scenes? Fourth, Carlos King's signature playbook. Let's not forget, the mastermind of reality TV drama himself is at the helm. Known for his work on RHOA and other hit shows, Carlos King has never been one to shy away from chaos if it makes for good television. He even said it himself in an interview. You don't cast reality stars for PC, you cast them for pressure. So with Carlos calling the shots, it's entirely possible this entire situation was crafted to rattle Kimmy's polished image and make space for rising personalities like Nell. And if that was the plan, it worked. Viewers are locked in, the blogs won't stop spinning, and the entire cast feels like it's walking on eggshells. And that brings us to the biggest twist of all. After weeks of non-stop speculation, judgment, and viral backlash, Kimmi Scott finally hit her breaking point. But what no one saw coming was how she chose to respond. And what happened next flipped the entire narrative. In what was supposed to be a reconciliation interview arranged by producers to ease tensions between Kimmy and Nell, viewers braced for another round of passive jabs and emotional standoffs. But the moment Kimmy walked in, it was clear, something had shifted. She wasn't there to fight. She wasn't there to cry. She came to expose. Dressed in a striking red suit, bold, powerful, and impossible to ignore, Kimmy walked in with intent. "Let me set the record straight," she said, locking eyes with the camera. "I've stayed silent out of respect. I've taken the hits, and let the rumors slide. But you will not keep using my name for clout." The room froze. Audible gasps rippled across the set, and even the production team reportedly paused filming, stunned by the sudden fire in Kimmy's voice. But she wasn't finished. Calmly, she reached into her purse and pulled out a small stack of receipts, literal ones. Documents, text messages, call logs, and time-stamped DMIs between Nell and several cast members. "Here's what really happened," Kimmy said, steady and direct, laying out her side. According to her, the dinner fight wasn't some spontaneous eruption, it was the boiling point of months of behind-the-scenes tension. She claimed Nell had been intentionally provoking her, leaking private conversations, feeding two blogs, and manipulating moments on set for maximum attention. Allegedly, Nell's goal was simple: boost her own storyline at Kimmy's expense. But the real jaw-dropper came when Kimmy presented off-camera footage captured on a crew member's phone showing Nell allegedly admitting to fabricating details about Maurice and Morrow. The clip never made it to air, but Kimmy's team had already ensured the network saw it. That changed everything. The energy in the room shifted. Producers scrambled. Nell fell silent, and for the first time in weeks, Kimmy looked completely composed. She ended with a message that cut through the tension like glass. "You tried to break me. You tried to destroy my family. But I'm still standing and I'm not going anywhere."